you know, and things like that. The arts, you know, serve as a dual purpose, you know, one to create, you know, a pathway moving forward, but also to give you a pathway to look back and to understand where we came from, you know. So that's the first thing. For myself, you know, I'm having probably the greatest midlife crisis I think anybody can have right now. You know, being a person who is, you know, in his almost approaching mid-50s.
That black don't crack right there.
Never does.
And understanding that I'm still searching for the greatest dish.
Ooh.
Yeah, and I still wake up thinking about that, and it's an obsession, that greatest dish. And I've had it. Have I done it for myself yet? You know, I don't know. And really, the other thing is, you know, the vision of where I think my kids and grandkids are going. You know, what's you know, what delicious world am I creating for you know for them? You know where you know where you look at, you know, people like Dr. Sadie with moss, right? But why is that still not an everyday part of our lives when we know it should be an everyday part of our lives? You know, how can I, you know, keep fighting with my sister about collard green recipes, even though we live in the same house? And mine are straight collards, and hers is collards, turnips, and mustards, you know. And I had to figure out, we're only 7 years difference, but where the hell did you get those recipes? You know, things like that. You know, so where's this disconnect? Where do these debates come from? And things like that, you know. You know, and also, you know, where do I see myself? Where do I sit at? You know, where, you know, what is delicious for me? And I'm really trying to redefine that for myself right now. You know, what is delicious food for myself? Where, you know, the things of luxury that I can always eat. But to me, you know, the best thing in the world is just soft scrambled eggs with caviar and sea salt. You know, that's to me is like, you know, the best thing in the world to eat because it's
I can do that.
And you think about it though, it's just something that is just, it doesn't require a lot of effort, but it does require a very meticulous paying attention of the detail.
Attention to detail.
You know, and things like that. You know, where, you know, why is brunch restaurants so popular right now? You know, because it's something everyone knows, you know, and it finds comfort in things like that, you know, and now why is the French toast $19, you know?
I don't know about that.
Things like that. But I get it though, because when you think about it, that we should not be paying people, wages where they cannot. You know, the whole thing. I'll give them one political rant and I'll let it go. That minimum wage is absolutely the most abominating thing to ever discuss. You know, you have to give people a living wage. You know, and then you can base the economy and things like that. You know, on top of that minimum. You know, I mean, so if you tell me what the minimum is, what is the maximum wage? Right? So if you're defining what the lowest I can be, then how can you, if you don't tell me the highest I can be, then it's really a false narrative that we're telling people. You know? So things like that, you know, and then when you start talking about things in that economic standpoint of community, that minimum, it's really a false narrative for our community.
Perfect. Again, like this conversation is about you guys, so I would like to hear some questions that you guys might have. Please feel free, don't be shy. Okay, you right here.
Yes, I have a question. I'm actually in culinary school. Right?
Okay.
Ah, I love it.
Do you have any suggestions on externships, like going in the US?
What year are you in?
Well, it's just like a training program. It's a 1 year.
Okay, that's good.
So we start our externships in March.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, basically we have to start.
Do you plan on staying in New York?
I don't, absolutely not.
So go to hotels.
Okay.
Go to hotels. So hotels gave me a great career, being able to travel. And as you grow up in economics and higher management, they'll start sending you other places.
Okay.
So you went 4 seasons, right?
So that hotel was 4 different hotels at one time. I ran 3 Ritz-Carltons. And so Ritz-Carlton downtown. Peter Zamponier, who's a chef, executive chef there. I was chef of cuisine there. He left, another chef came in, and that went to Ritz-Carlton, West Palm Beach, and ran that one. And, you know, one thing that I know, that there's 30 Ritz-Carltons in the world. Jamaica was number 30 in the company, Puerto Rico was number 29 in the company, and West Palm Beach was number 28 in the company. And that's not a good thing, they're like, they're, you know, so here it is, you know, I'm not French, you know, I'm not European, I don't look anyone, but they knew that they had to send me somewhere that I was making too much noise, so they sent me to West Palm Beach. So within 1 year, we were number 1 in the company. You know, so things like that, you can go. So I would say always, hotels are a great place to start. Also, they have so many different kitchens in there. You know, pastry kitchen, you know, Fabrice J kitchen, and then the hot lines and things like that. So go to hotels right away.
Thank you.
Young lady, I see you.
Yes.
Yeah.
What is your least favorite dish, and what advice do you have for someone who wants to start a beverage business?
I think easy least favorite dish is lobster because I'm allergic to it. that one's easy.
Just lobster or seafood? And
No, just lobster. Shrimp depends on how they're cooked, but most shrimp I can eat. Oysters I will eat all day. I think all the other ones, king crab I will eat all day. You know, mussels, all those. But lobster in particular, I can't do. They said beverage business.
Yes.
What do you mean by beverage business?
Not non-alcoholic.
So that is a great one to look at. I am not an expert in that.
Okay.
But I can point you to somebody who does it better than me.
Okay.
Right?
Okay.
Anybody else has a question? This is the goat right here. You guys have it for the night. Like, this is it. All right, go ahead.
I'm a chef as well, but I live in England.
Okay.
But I want to cross over to be, I have a lot of, I'm a settlement baby, so I have a lot on this strictly now, vegan and vegetarian, now it's strictly vegan. So you have to mess around with peas and vegetables to come up with, I have my own signature lentils, burgers and things like that. But I want to maybe keep off of, you know, I'm a Caribbean, so I do have a lot of clients what I'm my own catering business, so I do a lot of weddings and funerals and parties. So I want to cross over and start do that, but I'm still tempted because sometimes your old people like Christian, you know, they're not paying you as the done one, but I want to make some vegetarian menus that will combine those who are not eating will enjoy it more better. Another like it, some of them.
So another model is give people what they want, so they take what you have to give, right? So think about things like you know, the things that you find in a lot of menus. We had it over at egg rolls, right? You know, everyone started doing collard green egg rolls, you know, and things like that, right? So if you did a collard green egg roll, right? But there's other things you can do inside of it. So make something familiar, you know, to them, you know. Chickpeas. Well, you know, like everyone's did black bean burgers for a while. Now there's some other things that, you know, sometimes when you get to vegan, you know, just like with meats, there's things that are not really good when you think about the way they make them, like emulsify things and things like that. They spin them like Impossible Burger. You know, they don't crumble, you know, so things like that. So it's really spinning and extruding. So those things are not necessarily, you know, good, you know, even though it's vegan, it's not necessarily good, you know, good for you. So you know, people have to be really careful about understanding just because it's vegan doesn't mean that it's
good for you.
You know, it's good.
It's hard to tell them that.
But some of the best things are not good for you. You know, like
Pork belly.
You know, pork belly. Or you think about bologna, right? You know, bologna is an extruded thing, or macaroni. You know, pastas. You know these extruded pastas. You know, when you're forcing something through there, you have to think they have to force that through your digestive system as well. You know, where something like fettuccine and things like that, they're long pastas, so they can digest a little bit easier and things like that.
I didn't even know about that, chef. I just learned something new. Look at that. I like those snippets.
But the thing is that, you know, look at the menu and see, you know, see where you can incorporate the things that people are familiar, that sounds familiar to
Well,
them.
you see, they like the chickpeas, they like the chickpeas, curry, caramel,
Mhm.
and lentils, but I want to make other stuff. I start to do tamarind sauce now
Mhm.
with onions and stuff. I start to do other things, but I want to do more
Mhm.
that I could cook less when I'm doing different things, less meat coming.
But the thing is that it really comes to a menu approach, you know, and understanding what message you're trying to convey, you know, in those things, you know. I mean, we just changed the menu 2 days ago at One Flew on the belt line. And I really wanted to push the menu in a different direction because I think that we're kind of stuck in a way, so I really wanted to go more seafood, you know, and then, you know, so then we have, you know, like a lobster omelet on the menu. I took some of the other items out and put seafood tower on the menu. So I wanted to give a different message, you know, to the people about freshness, likeness, and things like that. And so, you know, here it is, I'm thinking that we're pricing these things too high, and I look at the product mix, and those are all the things that people bought. You know, the salmon, the lobster, you know, all those things, the higher price things, what people bought. So it's really understanding, you know, the customer base, first of all, but secondly, understanding the engineering of the menu, you know. And the third thing is, you know, go to other places and eat and see what they're doing, you know. And, you know, and just really, you know, invest into what other people
You ever been to England?
Yeah.
Well, everybody says you know food is boring, but
No, I get it. No, hey, I understand it. So it's not even boring as well. No, like, again, England has a great culinary background.
Yeah, but you also have a chef, you know, you also have a chef, you know, out of Africa, you know, that's in
Hey, that was a Michelin star.
Yeah, so we got a Michelin star. We got the first Michelin star as well.
yeah,
So.
but I mean with the vegan things.
No, but I understand. But again, like I think it's also to like being able to be malleable. Like in every single thing that you do, in every single thing in life, is understanding the messages and being able to actually like. You might have an idea. For example, the way that we created our Creole Festival, my business partner and I, for 2 years, we're researching what we thought we were going to create and what we actually created are two different things.
Yeah.
So also being able to be malleable to what is being offered to you. I think sometimes we are so stuck in just like our vision and we're not letting the universe or God or whatever you want to believe in guide us at the same time. Because like we have to be able to do that.
I think I just want to answer one more part of it, but also the techniques. The techniques are so important.
Yes.
You know, when you think about it, if you look at a potato and you salt a potato like you salt a piece of pork, you know, and you let it cure and everything like that, you actually get the same texture, mouthful, and things like that of something that you eat with meat. Like everyone loves potato chips because of the texture, it's the crunch, it's the salt, you know, it makes you salivate and things like that. So really understanding the techniques, and you can use those techniques in other ways. You can braise things, you know, like you take a piece of celery root and you can braise it. You can bake it like a baked potato. You can braise it and things like that. You can add spices like allspice and things like that to give this whole different, you know, mouthfeel and textural and things like that. So understanding the techniques is equally as important.
He's doing a pork belly at the Creole Festival this weekend. So he did a duck. What did you do in Miami? Was it a duck?
I did dumplings.
Dumplings. He did dumplings. Like it was the first time I ever had dumplings in my whole life. And again, that's what he does. He innovates. Young lady.
I guess, do you ever feel tension between the process of elevating a cuisine and the accessibility to the community it's in and from? So, like for instance, you talk about it's a weird thing because like what you mentioned about the time invested in making collard greens. So much of our food across the diaspora takes time. Like when my grandmother makes curry goat, it's like it's a process of skill and time investment that economically should be rewarded financially. But then what happens to the ability for the people to enjoy it? And so I don't.
Is that a Trinity accent down here?
No, my family's Jamaican.
Okay.
I'm Jamaican, yeah. But I don't know. I'm just curious about that.
It's the hardest thing in the world to understand that, because I know that what I do on a daily basis is not accessible to everyone. But I know what I do in the kitchen with the cooks, give them a lineage to make it accessible for their families. So that's the only way I can find balance in it. The other thing is though, as entrepreneur, I charge you for what it's worth. You know, because the thing is, I'm not gonna go down because I didn't charge you enough. You know, and I mean, because if I do that, then I continue the cycle of poverty. I mean, I have to charge you what it costs, you know, or to make. I mean, I have to, you know, I understand, you know, things from you know, P&L, profit and loss statements. You know, that rent is no matter, if your rent is higher than 10%, you know, you're on the cusp of struggling. You get to, you know, unless you have some other things on the other side, you know. So I have to, you know, charge you accordingly. Some people say that, you know, that you're not about the culture. Well, you know, our culture is not, like, it's not a monolith, you know. You know, you can't understand yourself as being a king and queen if you don't have peasants. You know, I can't be a chef if I don't have cooks. You know, I don't have a dishwasher, I don't have cooks in my kitchen, I'm not a chef, because I'm the dishwasher, I'm the cooks. You know, so, you know, I mean, this is just life, you know? Now, there's sometimes when you become irresponsible with it. You know, when you're just, you know, just doing things for fame and fortune and not having a conscience about the community. Now that's the problem, you know, when you don't have conscience about the community, when you don't understand that not supporting, you know, if you're gonna support one farmer, you know, that does look like you have to support two farmers that do look like you. You know, so those things, you have to make those conscious efforts in order to do so, you know, and you have to make your conscious effort of not disappointing people. It could have been easy, I can say, hey Fabrice, I'll see you in the morning, you know, but you know, no, I mean, he's blessing a lot, you know, say, hey, these people are coming, you know, I'm sitting there arguing with the lady at Delta, it's like, I'm getting on this fucking plane. You know, I don't care, man, you know, my bags are coming, you know, I have 50 cookbooks sitting over in the Bronx.
Exactly.
Right now, we'll get them tomorrow.
We'll get it tomorrow morning. Exactly. We'll make it work.
So those conscious efforts, you know, to do so. Sometimes it goes on deaf ears. You know, some things, you know, yeah, I'm expensive. You know, I know it. You know, but you know, that's what I choose to be.
But it's also important for me though, like for someone like that, you're not expensive because you're always paying it forward. And as someone that actually has seen you do the work, and again, I'm not saying this because you're my brother or someone that I know, but I've watched you. Also, like we're planning Atlanta August 24th and August 25th. We're looking at our chef the chefs he's like, Fab, we don't have enough chefs that are female. And again, as someone that did a food festival in Miami, the first ever food festival, that we only had female chefs, I understand it because we did that as a statement. Because chefs of color have to work 5 times as hard, but female chefs in itself is even more dire. So understanding that sometimes we have to be allies. You know, you don't have to actually understand the struggle, but be an ally. Okay, be a supporter. You know, and that's the great thing about Todd. That again, like any other questions that you guys have, okay.
Is there a chef that you get like a lot of your inspiration from, like Jacques Pepin or?
You know, so growing up,
Gestel from.
So my mom, when I was younger, she was still going through college and getting her degree, and so I spent a lot of time at my grandmother's house on the weekends. So that whole lineup on Saturdays, you know, Yan Can Cook, Jacques Pepin, Julia Childs, all those things came up, you know. Then that next era of, you know, great American chefs and things like that. And then the cooking shows, you know, kept, so I see a lot of that. My collection of cookbooks, you know, it's well in the hundreds, you know, things like that. But I keep going back to the ones that kind of got me there first, like, you know, Scoffier's cookbook, you know, which is, you know, the cover is gone, you know, I don't even have the cover. You know, and the thing is, what I like about reading that book is that there's, you know, 100 different recipes of potatoes. I don't feel a need to make 101, you know? I feel like that's his thing. That's what he did, you know. So, you know, now I understand it, you know, what is my thing, you know, and things like that. And then youth, I mean, you know, the younger generation, you know, I really, you know, spend a lot of time with them and understanding the way that they cook. And you know, my first job is to help them focus. And because we are a very distracted society, you know, we have a computer on our hip and things like that. So, you know, really getting them to focus on their craft. And then also teaching them the classics and understand why we don't do the classics anymore. You know, why don't we make bechamel anymore? Well, that's because, you know, heavy cream is pasteurized now. You know, so it's already reduced, you know, so things like that. We don't necessarily make those things in commercial kitchens anymore the same way that we used to.
But we can substitute the bechamel,
Yeah.
or something.
Well, I mean, but the thing is that people understand the true purpose of it, you know, like if you're making croquettes, you know, and things like that, you want to make it vegetable. So again, you gotta have to pay attention to the texture. You know, my thing is that, you know, every dish I have, you know, I start with a cross. You know, salt, sour, bitter, sweets, you know, so I try to get those 4 things on the plate. Most people can do 3. Right? Right, but you have to do 4, so 4 when you get to that. So then you get those done, then you get into texture, you know, and texture is not only, you know, in crunch or softness, and that is temperatures, you know, and things like that. So once you really start focusing that way, you take that dish and you really just, every dish you start with that, then you don't fail that. You'll find out what you're missing, you know, really, really quickly. Like, wow, this really needs salt, you know, and things like that. Sometimes though, you know, in our American way of industry, you know, we make things overly simplified. You know, bacon is overly simplified ways of providing salt, sweet, you know, and texture and things like that. You know, but you know, in the simplest form, it's good. BOT is great because it's really tomato bread and bacon, you know, and you get the sweetness of that, you have the texture of the bread, you get the saltiness and everything like that. The outer side of the bread, the rind is bitter. So, you know, that's why it's so good. You know, it's so simple, but it's so good because you have all those things, that crunchy bacon, that burst of tomato, you know, and things like that. So, you know, when you think about from such a simple standpoint that, you know, so then if you want to do it a little bit elevated like we do, you know, our approach menu, we make bacon jam. You know, we pickle.
That's really good.
Right. We pickle green tomatoes. You know, so instead of that, so now we have a different type of acid on the plate. You know, we have a little bit more sweetness. We definitely have a little bit more saltiness and everything like that. But we use, you know, gem lettuce because gem lettuce has that still bursting water quality, but also has a little bit of bitterness when you get to the top of the romaine parts and things like that. So it's really the same dish, you know. So I can dress it, you know, up, you know, all the way to this level, or I can bring it just back down to a kid, you know, opening up a lunchbox and eating that same sandwich.
And again, like, this is a great conversation. Now you understand why I started with saying that he's the GOAT. And I'm glad to call him a friend. But what I'm going to do, though, is I'm going to allow you guys to actually be able to talk to him on a one-on-one basis and all this other stuff. And thank you again. He uses whiskey, right? But at the same time, again, if you want to taste his food, he's going to be at the Creole Festival, July 20th, July 21st. That's actually Saturday and Sunday. We have about 15 chefs representing the Caribbean, Latin America, South America, and South US. It's actually $2.99 Bowery, 9 Bowery, downtown Manhattan. And he's one of the featured chefs. But again, please talk to him. Please pick his brain. Go ahead.
I do have a question.
Okay.
I'm wondering about like how what you found interesting to connect with like I'm from PR. From DR and PR, for example, like I was born and raised there, and one of the things that I've only, I think, become aware of only being like in adulthood more so. It's like I've been a server for a long time, like part of one of the things that I do, because I really love the food industry and stuff. And for example, since I was little, like I don't know if you've ever been to Piñones, but it's one of the most concentrated Afro-Boricua areas in the island. And so one of the things that always really stayed out to me to go to Piñones that I was just always there, so I didn't really have an awareness of, you know, having an outside perspective until leaving, is that, you know, everything is very simple at a glance, but it's a food made out of survival and out of resilience and out of like so many circumstances. And so it becomes like the simplicity, but at the same time, like I guess the delicacy of like a very particular sensibility that comes with all this shared history of people being enslaved and like what you do with what you have, etc., etc. Sorry, everybody, I'm a worried person.
No. By the way, this is a segue to his book. That's exactly what he talks in his book.
Absolutely.
So I'm just wondering, yes, about
You know, one thing that I learned in writing this book is that I had to temper down the word survival. Because it really was more engineered. It was less than just a pinch of this or a pinch of that. There was more, you know, we brought here for a reason because we had the science. We understood the land. We understood those things like that. So I had to take the word kind of survival out. You know, so only time I can really talk about survival is when you talk about things, you know, that were at the actual table that weren't, so you talk about the pig and, you know, like pork belly and chitlins and things like that, you know, but even in that standpoint,
Let's talk about that.
but even in that standpoint, I had to temper down the word survival in that because agriculturally, we didn't waste anything. So it didn't really matter, you know, in a sense, you know, we use it as a way to say that, you know, someone did something to us, but we also have to use it a way to say that we have to celebrate ourselves because we're the ones who did it first and did it better than anybody else. You know, so that's the first part. The second part is, again, is the science in itself, though, really shows that you know, survival also, you know, makes diamonds. You know, you don't get, you know, diamonds without, pressure and things like that. So there was a pressure for us, you know, to survive in this country. But the survival that I focus on a little bit more right now and things like that is more family. You know, and things like that. You know, how do we get this family unit back structured and coming together more? You know, eating at the table. You know, sharing meals. You know, drive-throughs are great, but how many French fries do you have under your driver's seat? You know, and things like that. You know, instead of pulling over a little bit and just sitting down and just having, eating half your meal before you drive off. You know, things like that. So it's kind of like I'm trying to change the narrative of what that is, in the sense that if we keep saying that it was only this, then we're only going to be that. You know, but they brought us here for a reason. Yeah.
All right, this is it for me. I'll let you guys again. I'm gonna go get that business, and then you guys can talk to them a little bit more, and then that's it. Remember, Grill Festival, July 20th, July 21st.
Yeah.
Well, while y'all here, before y'all move too far, y'all mind if I give y'all a quick intro? A quick wrap up. Okay. Some closing thoughts for tonight.
Of course.
For those of y'all who I have not met, my name is Robert Lee Newman III, and I have the pleasure of serving as the director of Home of Harlem and the lead curator for ArtfullWalls Gallery. Where y'all? I started in April, and for those of y'all who are in Harlem, y'all may have passed by before and noticed a few changes. And we're going to keep making those changes and growing, expanding, and thinking about different ways that the Harlem Renaissance can be reborn.
Amen. Hallelujah.
Does anybody have a phone on them? Pull it out real quick. What time is it?
7:54.
What time is the clock saying?
11.
Because we always ahead of our time.
Hey!
So, in this space, my quick debrief. Y'all are joining us for the Liberation Front.
Amen.
I don't have to reiterate anything that Chef said because he already said that. The exhibit is here so we can ask the question, where are we still trying to get free? We see pieces that talk about capitalism and overconsumption. We see pieces that talk about pride and self-identity. We see other pieces that talk about us architecturally designing a country that other people profited from. And now we gotta go back and make it rain. And assessed over there in the corner. There are 4 artists presented in this exhibit, and these QR codes that you all see scattered about have all the information for the work and for the artists, okay? Look at all the pieces from 2 angles, right? At least. I could give a master's class on how to look at art, but at least look from up close and from a little bit away, because the entire image is important. But there are some things that are haiku, there are other things that are essay, and if y'all have made it upstairs yet, there are some paintings that are like books.
Amen.
You won't be able to get it all today.
Wait, is it upstairs?
Yeah.
Hey, look, well, wait, there's more. So that's Liberation Front, home to Harlem. We talk about freedom, we talk about movements. I mentioned how we're trying to be ahead of our time. The reason why this space was founded and created was inspired from Claude McKay's book, Home to Harlem. Harlem has been a place for so long that's been a home to so many cultures, people, and communities from around the world. And here, we look to serve three primary core values, principles, in terms of curating this space. People who have seen me before know that I say this till my face turns blue, so I'll be very, very brief for y'all because I know it's late. First and foremost, this is a safe space. When y'all come in here, y'all need to understand that these 4 walls, these couple of walls are where we can sit down and actually start to have discourse, digest, reconcile, and share space that we know we can build on, right? For folks who are psych interests or psychology majors, Maslow's hierarchy. I gotta have safety first. For those of y'all who study the histories, they blow up churches. I'm not gonna go deep into that one. After that, we gotta have brave space. Because at a certain point in time, it's not enough for you to just come in and be vulnerable. It's more important for you to come in and show me who you actually are.
Right.
There's some dreams that you may have forgotten. Or that you sat down and let collect dust. And I'm here to remind you that we used to be giants. Y'all see how tall the door frames are. The people that came before us, brave space is important. I need y'all to come in here and actually be authentic in a way that you show love through strength. Show me what overflows, and I'll show you what to do with it. The last thing that we strive to do here is create sacred space. Audre Lorde posited that it's easy. It's very easy for people to be angry. We all in New York, at least today. Come on now. You ride the fucking subway. Somebody bump into you. It's hot as fuck. The train late. The fare is hyped.
Microsoft fucked up.
It's just terrible. So there's a million different reasons for us to be angry and nobody would blame you. She said it's harder to yearn. The last thing that we do in here is create sacred space. So once we figure out that this is something that we can work with, when you ask the question, who am I gonna be there? You talk about your story and understand the actual history of who we are. And then last but not least, value it enough to pass it down to another generation. Make sure it's here long enough that it don't just flee. Or that we don't even give it away. So with that,
I have actually a story, so I actually have to commend this brother right here. So I'll tell the story about him. So I live in Harlem. I was running with my dog, and literally, my dog literally was trying to get inside this gallery. And he was like, and I looked at that, I was like, oh, come on, we're going. And he's like, no, it's okay. You can actually bring your dog in, and actually, so when my dog in, and we started like commuting, having a conversation. Come to find out, he knew another friend of mine, Paulette, who's actually at the New York Public Library. And again, this gentleman is an alpha. He's about community, he's about Harlem, he's about life. So when I reached out to him and I was like, hey, I have access to Todd Richards. Can we do something? And again, it was never an exchange, more about what do we bring to this community in Harlem that we live in? What do we bring back? And we made it happen. It only happened in like 3 days. It's just being able to 2 days. 2
weeks.
But the whole point is, again, this is what we're saying about community in the Harlem Renaissance. When people created the Harlem Renaissance, when you had Nina Simone, you had Harry Belafonte, you had Sidney Poitier, you had Adam Clean Powell, and I could go on to the people. They didn't think what they were creating was leaving legacy. They thought about community first. Okay? So you guys all have a responsibility to continue building that community. Because again, it might seem hard, but these guys did not have social media, they did not have the connections or whatever it is. But we have all that. If they were able to do it, what we can accomplish is even greater and better and so much more. So again, thank you again, Rob Newman III. He is the third. So I will see that. Thank you, Todd Richards, for coming. Thank you, Ron Lee, and all the other people that are here. Again, we're going to continue building with each other. And that's what we need to do.
We're still open. We'll turn some music on. If y'all haven't seen the space, especially upstairs, I encourage y'all to. And I'm weird about myself. Grab y'all something to drink and enjoy yourself. What a great job.
So much food. Caviar and scrambled eggs.